Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take all the info you've gathered, articles, notes, videos, everything, and boil it down to what you really need to know. Today, we're jumping into the NBA. There's a lot happening. Our mission, unpack these power shifts, look at some team evaluations that are, well, kind of surprising, and get into those player clashes everyone's talking about. We're cutting through the noise for you, the casual fans, so you're ready for any basketball chat.
That's the plan. Yeah, we'll cover quite a bit. The West playoff picture, for sure. Some team rankings that definitely raise some eyebrows. And we'll get a peek behind the curtain at team dynamics, which is rare. Plus, yeah, that very public player feud. We need to break that down. We're aiming to go beyond just the headlines, get to the why behind it all.
Okay, let's get right into it then. First up, the Houston Rockets. I mean, their turnaround last season was pretty incredible, right? Unexpectedly finishing second in the West. They pushed the Warriors hard in that 7-game series. Showed a lot of fight.
They really did.
But then, boom, the offseason hits. Kevin Durant trade happens. And just like that, the Rockets are suddenly, well, they're heavy hitters now. Series contenders.
Yeah, and the deep dive here is why KD makes such a massive difference for them. It's not just the name. He plugs their biggest hole from last year, really. They didn't have that consistent closer, that go-to guy in the clutch. Jalen Green showed flashes, definitely, but he wasn't consistent enough in that role. That was a weakness.
Right.
Now you bring in KD. The gravity he has on court is just immense. Defenses have to throw extra bodies at him, and that just opens up the floor for everyone else. Think about Alperen Sengun. He already drew the second most double teams in the entire league last season. Only Jokic saw more.
Wow, second most. Didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah. So imagine the space he's going to have now with defenses worrying about KD constantly. And it wasn't just KD they added. Some smart, underrated moves, too. Dorian Finney-Smith, great pickup.
Versatile defender, can hit threes.
Exactly. Strengthens the perimeter. And they beefed up the front court, too. Capella, Steven Adams. That's depth, rebounding, rim protection. They're much tougher inside now.
Okay, so that's a huge shift. The Rockets are definitely looking scary. Which brings us to the really interesting question for you, the listener.
Yeah.
Where does this leave the champs, the OKC Thunder? How do they fit into this tougher West?
Well, look, the Thunder are they're still in a tier of their own for now. You got to give them that respect. Reigning champs, historically great defense last season, MVP and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's just almost impossible to guard one-on-one. But the big question is always that championship hangover, isn't it? It's a real thing. Can they keep that same intensity, that same hunger that fueled that defense every single night? It's tough to sustain. Maybe they can, but it's a question mark.
It's hard to maintain that edge year after year.
Exactly. And what makes their opening night game against Houston so fascinating is how the Rockets might be kind of built to counter OKC's biggest strength. The Thunder live off forcing turnovers, right? Getting steals, running in transition.
Yeah.
That's their game.
But the Rockets, last year, they were near the bottom of the league in passes per game. They don't move the ball around a ton. They play more deliberately, more ISO ball, take care of the ball.
So fewer passing lanes for OKC to jump.
Precisely. If they limit those passes, take care of the rock, they might neutralize that Thunder strength a bit. Makes that first matchup a really interesting chess match. Could be a grind.
Definitely one to watch early on. All right, sticking with the West, let's pivot to the Minnesota Timberwolves. ESPN dropped their future power rankings recently, projecting success over the next 3 years. And the Wolves landed at number 11 overall, which felt like a snub, didn't it? They were 8th before. People were surprised.
Yeah, it's interesting how ESPN does these 5 categories: players, management, money, draft, market. Players is the big one, like 50% of the score. But when you dig into it, yeah, there's a strong case the Wolves got undervalued. Seriously undervalued. Take the player rosters category, they ranked Minnesota 7th there.
But over the last 2 seasons, Minnesota has the 5th best regular season record in the NBA. And the 3rd best overall record if you include the playoffs.
Right. That doesn't quite line up with 7th?
Not really. How are teams like Orlando at 6th? Or Houston ranked 2nd in roster, considered better right now, or even over the next 3 years? I mean, Anthony Edwards is an absolute all-world superstar. He's that guy. And the Wolves' core is deep and still intact.
Yeah, Ant is on another level. It's hard to argue Orlando's core is better today.
Exactly. Even with their potential.
And it wasn't just the player ranking, was it? Management, too. Because that's huge for long-term success.
Right. Management is key. They rank the Wolves 10th in management. But, look at who's running the show. Tim Connolly, he built the Nuggets team that won the title, widely seen as a top 5 GM, knows how to draft, how to make trades.
Great reputation.
And Chris Finch, the coach, he's taken them to 2 straight conference finals. That's impressive coaching. He's easily in the top 10 coach conversation.
So top GM, top coach.
Yeah.
But ranked 10th in management. Seems low.
It feels low, yeah. That combination should probably rank higher. Doesn't quite add up. And then the market ranking. They put Minnesota dead last, 30th.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Dead last.
Yeah. Now, okay, weather's a factor, market size maybe, but our sources mention things like arena atmosphere, cost of living matter too. Like OKC is 29th, but it's cheaper to live there, great atmosphere. So it's not just about being a huge city.
Right. And Minnesota has a passionate fan base. The team's winning.
Exactly. Does it really deserve dead last? Especially with the team playing so well and clear leadership? It's debatable, for sure.
So what's the takeaway for you, the listener? It really shows how these rankings, these metrics, sometimes they miss the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
They might not capture a team's momentum or its chemistry or its leadership fully. And these rankings, they create narratives. They can motivate guys or add pressure. They definitely shape how fans and maybe even the league see a team's future.
Yeah, you wonder how much it becomes a self-fulfilling thing or just off the mark.
Okay, shifting gears now from team stuff to more intense personal dynamics. Let's talk about that Draymond Green, Jordan-Poole incident from 2022. Still resonates.
Yeah, and this brings up, what actually happens behind closed doors in the NBA. The public scrutiny aspect is huge now. Steve Kerr actually said something pretty surprising about it. He mentioned that teams typically have like 2 or 3 fights a year.
2 or 3, really?
Yeah. He even brought up his own scuffle with Michael Jordan back when he played for the Bulls. Sort of framed it as, look, these things happen internally sometimes, though obviously not ideal.
Okay, so the fight itself wasn't necessarily unprecedented in his eyes.
Right. What Kerr really emphasized was the video getting leaked. That's the crucial part here. In today's world, that internal thing becomes viral, public. Kerr said the video destroyed our team, his words.
Destroyed the team. Wow.
Yeah, he said the damage from the video being out there was insurmountable. That's what led to Poole eventually being traded. The trust was just gone, It's a really stark example of how public perception and leaks can amplify an internal issue way beyond the initial event. The pressure is immense.
Man, that really highlights the fishbowl these guys live in. Everything gets magnified. And speaking of things getting magnified publicly, Patrick Beverley versus Trae Young. That spat got heated fast.
Oh, yeah.
Beverley started it, right? Saying, all-stars take the game for granted. And then went straight at Trae's leadership.
Very direct.
That guys who played in Atlanta didn't think he was a good leader or teammate. Even dropped the Trey Hawks line. That's throwing shade big time.
Yeah, Beverley came out swinging, and Trae's response, it was fiery. He made a whole video. He compared their playoff runs, Beverley 9, him 3, okay? But then the zinger, both only made 1 conference finals. But Beverley took 9 years to get there. Trae did it in year 3.
Ooh, nice counterpunch, pointing out the efficiency.
Exactly. And then he questioned Beverley's whole winner narrative, pointing out all the superstars Pat Bev played with, LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, Harden, Westbrook.
Right, like you played with all them and still only won conference finals.
Pretty much. And then, of course, the troll of Beverley's play-in celebration, contrasting it with his own focus on, actual playoff runs. It was a calculated response, defending his record effectively.
And then here's where it got really interesting, I thought. Young didn't just use stats. He challenged Beverley directly. State your source. Put him on the spot about those teammate claims.
Yeah.
And then basically said Beverly's just doing it for clicks, for attention, subscribers, likes. Called out the motivation. That's playing chess.
It really is. And Beverley, naturally, he fired back again, doubled down on his own playoff experience, his consistency, said he never missed the playoffs, and then he hit Young with the 2 motherfucking relax line, said he needs to get uncomfortable to lead the Hawks further.
Wow. Get uncomfortable.
Yeah. Basically saying Trae needs more edge, more drive, claimed he doesn't know what missing the playoff feels like. This whole thing, it just lays bare these fundamentally different views on what matters, right? Individual stats versus team success. Longevity versus peak moments. And it all plays out on social media now. That's the new arena for these rivalries. It shapes how everyone sees these guys.
Whew. Okay, we definitely covered some ground today. The West is shifting. Rankings are causing debates. We got to look inside the locker room dynamics, which aren't always pretty. And, yeah, the player rivalries.
Yeah.
Raw, unfiltered, playing out in public.
Yeah, and if you connect all these dots, it kind of leaves you with a big question to think about, doesn't it? How much does all this stuff, the narratives, the public perception, the media rankings, the Twitter beefs, how much does that actually impact what happens on the court? Does it fuel teams? Does it break them? Does the outside noise actually change the inside reality and maybe even the future outcomes, like with the Wolves ranking or that Pat Bev Trae feud? How much does it really matter beyond the talk?
That's a really good point. Something to definitely chew on next time you're watching a game or scrolling through NBA news. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive today. Hope you feel more plugged into what's shaping the league right now. Check out our other episodes.